Before we get into it, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording today, the Whadjuk Noongar people. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, because it always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Hey, this is Zero Filter, and chances are you like your conversations messy and unfiltered. I'm Faye, and every week I'll be tackling everything from relationships and politics to sex work and personal growth. This is where the messy, uncomfortable, and hilarious collide. So let's buckle up because it's going to get real. Hello. Okay. Guys, I'm not even kidding you. This is the third recording and I've literally do some light tapping. This is the third time I'm recording this video. I've literally just pulled out my phone and I'm just doing it on my phone because we have to. Welcome back to Zero Filter, where I like to talk about shit that needs to be spoken about, because it is honestly, I don't even know where to go from here because I've done this so many times that I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm probably not. But yeah, podcast where I say things that I'm not supposed to on topics that need to be spoken about, because the more we speak about these topics, the more they become less yuck. And it's not that they become less yuck, it's just the more that we kind of realize that they're happening and kind of check ourselves before we wreck ourselves and can actually take accountability for our actions and what have you, and just kind of unpack the bullshit that is societal norms and cultures and constructs. And I feel like I like doing that for myself, so why not do it for other people? All right, today's topic is something that is really, it affects me a lot. And I guess like when it affects me a lot, I feel like it must affect other people because everyone's going through their own shit, right? And so today's topic is the Madonna Wh complex. And let me tell you, it's exhausting, it's persistent, and it's frankly fucking boring that I continuously have to talk about this with, you know, people that I know, people that I don't know, people at work, or even with my hot little head myself. It's been happening for centuries. Sigmund Freud was actually the first one to kind of bring it up. And what did he say? I actually have a quote here. Where such men love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love. And as fucked as that is, he fucking clocked something, because we can see it. Like, it's happening everywhere in so many multifaceted layers. Like, you can see it. I know that you're going, yeah, I feel that. But yeah, so this episode isn't just for my girls. This is for my gays, my theys, anyone, even my soft boys, like anyone that is and feels a little bit too much, a little bit too femme, a little bit too loud, a little bit too sexual, a little bit too much of a bad bitch to be loved. And that's bullshit. Like, we should feel like we can be whatever the fuck we want to be, these multifaceted creatures, and be loved because of it. So today we're going to reclaim it all, because it's not a contradiction. It's a liberation. Let's be holy and fucking horny at the same time. And the reason why I have, you know, really kind of pushed to have this videoed is because I am seen online, in the online world, as this bad bitch, sexy girl. And don't get me wrong, I fucking am. I know that. But I'm not just that. I am a weirdo. I am an ADHD, autistic little bean that has these deep thoughts and processes. And, you know, I want to show that I can be a whole multifaceted, beautiful, sexy weirdo for you guys. So yes, this is the third time I'm recording this. And yes, it's annoying. And yes, I have my period, so I'm already... But I'm fucking human, and I want to show you guys that if I can be sexy online and show my... I can come on here with no fucking filter. It'd be weird. I didn't fart. That was my foot. All right. So obviously there's like the Madonna and the whore, but let's like put it as like the slut and the saint. The good girl. And I know I'm using a lot of like gendered ways of speaking, but obviously I'm speaking on behalf of myself, and it's easier to kind of construct with these kind of conversations. But obviously I mean anyone that is femme-based or femme-identifying. But obviously people are going to feel this regardless. Like, you can be a man and still feel a little bit more femme. You know, if we think about 10, 20 years ago, a guy to wear nail polish and put a little bit of makeup on, like guy liner or whatever, like was called a pussy and called like an F word, like F-A, you know the word. Like, whereas now it's becoming a little bit more acceptable because we're having these conversations. We're able to like shift the kind of stigma because we're talking about it a lot more. And this is why I want to talk about the Madonna and the whore, because it's something that affects me. And I'm so lucky. Like, there's a study done, and the study is that people are more likely to be sexualized or seen as like the whore in this circumstance, right? The slut, per have you, if they have body modifications, tattoos, piercings, are a single mother, a divorcee, that I am not. That is the only box I do not tick. And she's a sex worker. So I obviously hit this one pretty hard. Fucking killing it. So what is the Madonna whore complex? I'll put it into context. I'll put it into story form of myself, right? So let's talk about the boyfriends that I've had. Okay. So in the 6 years that I've been a stripper, I've had 2 boyfriends. And the first one we dated for like 10 months. He worked on a boat, like a super yacht or whatever. And they were stuck here because of COVID. So the whole time we were dating, it was beautiful. It was magical. Like, we got along so well. He didn't mind that I was a stripper. And then as soon as he had to go back on the boat, he was like, oh, no, I don't do long distance. He always knew he was leaving. He always knew that he had to go back to work and work on the boat. But he always knew that he didn't do long distance. So he always had a time limit for our relationship. And like, looking back, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like that, ugh. I'm going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. It's okay if you cry. But, you know, it's just like, ouch. Like, I wasn't seen as a long-term thing. I was just seen as this person that you can fuck around with for as long as you're stuck here. And then as soon as you leave, I'm done. Or the next one, I met and I was a stripper, obviously. He knew that. And we got into a relationship, and it was all of a sudden, you're disgusting, stop doing that. Like, you don't have to work, you shouldn't have to work, I'll provide for you. Like, come and sit at my work and wait for me to finish kind of shit. Crazy. And then at home it was like sex on film, sex on film, sex on film. I want to make OnlyFans. I want to make OnlyFans. I want to make OnlyFans. And it's like, brother. So these are 2 different types of the Madonna whore complex, in a sense. Another one is I have friend like I haven't slept with someone in a long time, but when I used to have a friends with benefits or someone that you're seeing, right, a situationship, and We start talking, everything's beautiful. We start fucking, la, 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 la. And then I'm like, you know, natural progression. I start getting feelings and he's like, I'm not really like looking for something right now. So you just want to have sex with me. And then as soon as things get deeper, I'm not the one. And then a month after I call it off because I don't want to just have sex for the willy-nilly, they have a girlfriend. And don't get me wrong, maybe I'm not what they're looking for and all of that. But it's like, don't just have sex. And maybe if you're going to do that, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm only speaking on behalf of myself, but I've always been like, don't really want just a fuck buddy. I want something long term. And I guess like I'm just seen as I'm lusted after. I'm the sexy one. I'm the one that they want to fuck around with. But at the end of the day, I'm wanted to be fucked and not held. I'm wanted to be chased after, but then once they get me, that's all. They let me go, ghost me, XYZ. And so, you know, and then you see them with their partners that look nothing like me, no tattoos, blah, 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 blah. So it's kind of like the Madonna and the whore is when a woman is too sexual, too loud, too opinionated, they are classed as the whore. And then a Madonna is the good housewife, submissive woman. And what we don't realize as a society, and we do, don't get me wrong, right? And this is the problem with me. I see every side to the story. And I really kind of reflect on that and go, well, shit, like maybe if we looked at it that way, like it's always a double-edged sword kind of thing. But I do see all sides of the story, and I do understand that, you know, some people want to be like that. But it's looking at as a society why it's so ingrained in us as like, you know, young girls or young gays, theys, like, how about in the kitchen? Like be like the, you know, like as I know I'm saying women, but I'm saying women, but like go help out in the kitchen, be the hostess with the mostess. Like, oh, have you gone and asked them if they're okay? Like, why is it that like waitressing, we're always the one like in like a strip club, like we're serving drinks, we're doing this. Why is it always the, you know? Like it's so ingrained in our culture to be this way that it's why I do this podcast is to take a hard look at ourselves and go, shit, all right, this makes sense. How can we dissect this and kind of look inside ourselves and really kind of like look at our shadows? Like a shadow in spirituality is like if someone shines a light on you, you see your shadow in front of you. You wouldn't have been able to see that if someone didn't shine that light on you, right? And so these conversations is like shining a light to see our shadow and kind of checking ourselves before we wreck ourselves so that we can kind of acknowledge it, process it, and integrate it into our lives so that we show up better and show up as the best people that we can possibly be, because like we're all on this floating rock for such a short time. Why not evolve and grow and live life as best as we can? And I know I'm talking about men and women and blah, 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 blah. And I did get a question on Instagram, like, what is the equivalent for a man for the Madonna whore complex? And I researched and all it said was like kind of. But what I think is that there's like the fuckboy and the good boy, or like the stable, or like, you know, like if you think, you know, with femme stuff and people are like, oh, she shows a little bit too much ass on Instagram, like red flag, or she has an OnlyFans, red flag. But if it's a guy, oh, he does FIFO, red flag, right, girlies? Right, girly pops? That's what the cool kids say. But you know what I mean? Or he's got heaps of tattoos, red flag. You know, there's still, he looks like a fuckboy. She looks like a slut. There's still the stigma between the two. So I get that. I'm not, like, I'm saying culturally, like, why does a man need to have a good job for us? I don't care if you have 2 fucking cents to your name. If you treat me right, like, that's, I want someone that can make me laugh, that's going to treat me right, and, like, understands me as a human and wants to understand me and has depth like me. I feel like it should be the same for everyone. And so I guess, like, yeah, I'm having these conversations just to, like, see how society and cultures are kind of like viewing each other. And I'm not saying that everyone is like this, obviously not. But I just want to kind of shed a light on it to create conversation. So yeah, obviously I became a mother very young, and I became a stripper at 27, and it's obviously shaped my life very differently to a lot of women. And I feel like being a stripper is kind of like a bucket list thing for guys. It's like, oh, I would date you. I would take you away from this. I will show you the world. I will show. Yeah, anyway. But then as soon as they have it, they don't want it anymore, because they realize I'm an actual human and not just a facade and a fantasy. And I guess that's what this Madonna Wh thing is all about. Madonna Wh complex. What a wild, what's the word? Psychological, social construct that fucking has just... I can see it changing and moving and grooving and kind of doing its thing, but it's definitely affected my life and still does. And but I wouldn't be who I am today if the Madonna Wh complex wasn't a thing, because although I never get chosen, although I'm seen as this baddie that's a sexy gal, I wouldn't be single, and I wouldn't have fallen in love with my own company. I wouldn't have started this podcast. Do you know what I mean? Like, I spend so much time by myself that now I am so comfortable in my own space, in my own vibe, that if I'm single for the rest of my life, so be it. Like, I got a vibrator, I got a dildo, I got many. Like, I'm happy. I've got a great life. I am very fucking blessed. Like, I love my friends. I love my family. I love love. And if it's just loving my friends and family, then so be it. So if that's you, then fuck yeah. If you're in a loving, committed relationship, fuck yeah. And I'm not going to continue talking about this, because I feel like I've said all I need to say in this video, and I don't want to make it super long like my other ones, because I went off on tangents and I went off on this and that. And I feel like if you do want to, go listen to the podcast. And obviously there's going to be things that I do cover in this video, but I wanted to make this kind of a little bit shorter because it is my 3rd time recording it, but also just so you guys can get a feel of the Madonna Wh complex in a shorter kind of bite-sized bit. And just remember, like, we're all fucking human. We're all doing the best that we can. Like, if we can just do a little bit better and not judge people for their jobs, and maybe just get to know people a little bit better, you know? Like, understanding people is so, I love it. And maybe that's why I love stripping, is because, like, I get to meet these people in, like, this stripped back pun not intended, but like they can just be whoever the fuck they want, right? They don't have to be the engineer or the photographer or the, I didn't say executioner, but I meant to say electrician. But they can be whoever they want in the strip club because they know that it's a safe space. And it's such a beautiful thing. Like, yes, they might be sexualizing me, but at the same time, like they're actually listening because they want to fuck, probably. But isn't that interesting? It's another thought to process. But yeah, I'm going to leave you with that. And if you have any questions, I'm just going to record it on my phone from now on and fuck the other shit off. But I will be releasing the full thing on my podcast on Spotify, and I'm going to get Apple Podcasts up and running. If there's any questions, if you just listen to this and you don't listen to the podcast, I am going to Darwin next week on Friday. I'm going to do a Q&A next week, maybe on Wednesday. So if you want, please send through some questions that you would like to ask me. It can be absolutely anything. You can ask me anything under the sun. You can tell me a story time. You can tell me a confession. Whatever your heart gets tickled by. Don't think that's the saying. But send it through and I'm going to answer them next week for you before I go away. And then I'm going to take my microphone and my phone and I'm going to interview my brothers in Darwin when I'm there, which is going to be fun. It's going to be hot. Not the conversation. I mean, like, it's going to be hot in temperature and I'm not looking forward to it because I'm an aircon galley. But yeah, please send through your thoughts. Please tell me how you're doing. I really hope you're well. I am so happy that you guys are listening to me and taking my shit on board. If you're not and you're still having conversations, even if it's bad, I don't care. I really, really appreciate you guys being here. And I will see you next week. Send me your questions. Thank you for listening to Zero Filter. Be safe. I love you. Bye.